shareholders of MTN Uganda in your respective capacities, distinguished members of the business community, members of the press, dear colleagues from MTN, I wish you a very yellow good morning on this unique historical event of the 6th of December 2021 is the day that MTN Uganda is listing its shares on the Uganda Securities Exchange. I thank you so much for being present today on this historical day, because the listing today on the USC is the climax of a journey that started 3 years ago. This journey started in September 2018 with the issuing of the new national broadband policy by the government of Uganda, Minister of ICT, which resulted a year later, in November 2019, into the new telecom licensing regime framework. The objectives and aspirations of the government of Uganda, under the guidance and the leadership of His Excellency the President, were to increase the Ugandan ownership in telecommunication companies. The road chosen to achieve this objective was localization through listing, and listing on the biggest Ugandan stock market, which is the USE, the Uganda Securities Exchange. Hence, this became one of the key obligations in our renewed national telecom operator license, together with the payment of the $100 million license fee and the obligation to expand our network literally everywhere you go in Uganda by 2025. We turned this obligation into an opportunity. As MTN, we understood that having tens of thousands of Ugandan shareholders, MTN Uganda would become a better and a stronger company. So in August this year, in anticipation of the IPO, we launched a massive marketing campaign called Uganda is Home, which then later on in October and November turned into an IPO awareness campaign with, I would say, the already legendary Jane Kafulu-Washere's video or videos that taught the general public how to apply and how to pay for shares. During the 6 weeks of the offer period, we embarked on an unprecedented capital markets and IPO awareness campaign across the entire country. The entire senior executive leadership team of MTN Uganda present here, together with our 3 lead stockbrokers and our transaction advisors, we went through the whole country. We did more than 250 physical and virtual town hall presentations, reaching more than 30,000 Ugandan potential investors in 66 different districts of the country. We traveled from Arua to Kisoro via Moroto and Kalangala. We went through 66 different districts to engage directly, face-to-face, with 30,000 investors. We spent hours and hours in front of our screens, engaging with another few thousand potential investors through social media, Twitter, Teams calls, and Zoom calls. Together with our partners, we appeared in more than 300 TV, radio, and other media engagements. this is the moment for me to say a very, very, very big thank you to all of you who have directly and indirectly been involved in this amazing journey of creating awareness and understanding around the MTN IPO. We took time to explain to everybody what is a stock. How do you gain or lose from investing in stocks? What is a stock market? What is the USC, CMA, IPO? What does it mean? What does it stand for? How do you apply? How do you pay? What are dividends? There were so many questions. So much time and effort was spent by so many people to take all Ugandans on a journey of understanding and appreciating capital markets. So by doing this, we believe that every Ugandan was given a chance and an opportunity to participate and become a co-owner, a shareholder in our great, amazing company. We managed to achieve 65,000 new opening of new SCD accounts with the USC, and more than 20,000 Ugandans applied and bought shares using the MIPO and the mobile money platform. This is an amazing achievement. And this is why I'm very happy and I'm extremely proud on behalf of my team to officially announce to you that MTN Uganda has fulfilled the objectives of the national broadband policy. We have increased our Ugandan ownership from previously less than 4% of the company to now, today, more than 15% of MTN Uganda is owned by Ugandans. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what I call a success, because we have delivered on the aspirations of the broadband policy. We can now confidently say Uganda is truly our home. I would like to take this opportunity to thank a number of stakeholders who have made this possible. First and foremost, His Excellency the President. Under his guidance, the policy was put in place and duly executed. The ministries of ICT and Finance and our regulators, the UCC, BOU, CMA, URA. Without your support and your guidance, this would never have been possible. A lot of people thought that MTN was not going to succeed. Even during the period, the opening period or the offer period, there was a lot of negativity, a lot of misunderstanding around facts and figures that were clearly defined in the prospectus. But we took the challenge. We went out and we explained to so many people about the facts about this IPO. We even went to court and we won our legal case, by the way. So, that's an applause for our lawyers who won the case. So, to our new shareholders, I would like to assure you at MTN, we live and we breathe a can-do attitude. There's no mountain too high, there's no challenge too big. At MTN, we take everything and we solve the problems in the interest of our shareholders to grow our company. And I'm very pleased and honored to inform you that 65% of the employees of MTN Uganda have bought shares in their company. 65% of the staff have taken their personal money and bought shares because they believe in the future of our company. And even more proud to say that 100% of our executive senior leadership have bought shares in the company. We, as the Americans say, we have put our skin in the game. And that, dear new shareholders, should be the ultimate assurance for you to see that the staff themselves are fully committed to run the company to the best of our capability and to continue to deliver on our promises during the roadshows. Our promises that we have made to our new shareholders is to create value and to grow our dividends for the years to come. On that renewed promise and commitment, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say my final words. A big, big thank you to all of you who have participated and made this a success. And once again, I can say MTN Uganda is now home. Thank you so much. MTN Uganda renewed its license last year in June. One of the conditions of the license renewal was a mandatory listing on the Uganda Securities Exchange. Now, over the last 10 years, there has only been one listing in the whole of Uganda. In total, there are only 9 companies that are currently listing on the USE. So when we looked at this obligation, we said we need to turn this into an opportunity. And the opportunity being to onboard thousands and thousands of new shareholders. Now, how do you do that?
So what we decided to do is to really make it easy for people to participate and also make it attractive for Ugandans to participate. And that's how we came up with this idea of the MIPO, M for mobile, IPO.
We decided we have identified the components that are needed to make this journey successful. One component is for you to open an account, you need documentation, your national ID, your fingerprint, we call it KYC, know your customer. We as an MTN Uganda, we have the biggest KYC holder in the country. We have 15.5 million KYC holders. Said, okay, very good, that element is there. What else do we need? We need for the customer to pay for the IPO application or to pay for those shares that the customer is buying. Okay, who has the biggest mobile money ecosystem in the country other than MTN Uganda? Very good. This is the second element is available. The third element, we need the security exchange system because they need a system for us to integrate with that system. So the 3 components that will complete that journey end to end were available. The KYC are here, the payment method is here, security exchange was here. Why we don't integrate those 3 components together behind the USSD channel or the app as well? Seconds, everything is done.
If we look at an example, let's look at an investor called William. Which was the first listing on the exchange. William at that point would have walked to a stockbroker's office, filled in an account opening form, filled in an IPO application form, walked to the bank, then he would have walked back to the broker with the banking slip, signed off his form, and the broker would have accepted his application. Now, when you look at the MTN MIPO solution, in the comfort of William's living room, he's able to open an account. That account is opened within 40 seconds. He's able to apply for the shares and submit his application seamlessly. The money is taken off his mobile money account, and that is that.
So this whole mobile money ecosystem just catalyzes a process that would normally take hours, if not days, for you to plan the effort to move around, and brings it down to a time of seconds within the convenience of your home, your garden. It could be a shop, on the street, and you do it whenever and however you want to do it.
Once the application got created, there was a new challenge. how do you talk to the people of Uganda, the common people of Uganda, the Boda guy on the street, the Rolex maker, and that is what gave birth to Kafuluwa shares. Okay, she's a lady, okay, she's a young lady, she's a hustler, she is also those...
All right, so we apologize for this. We'll run this through the day. Another big round of applause.
Capital market investment.
Okay, so we will pause it. Thank you. Another big round of applause for Wim and the team. And please keep your eye on the timer, and that timer is critical, so I'll not say much, but allow me to invite the Chief Executive Stanbic Bank to come and make her remarks. Anne Juko, round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. She's speaking as the transaction advisor to MTN for this IPO. You're welcome, Anne.
Thank you, Maurice. I'll start with the protocols. Honorable Minister, ICT and Information, Honorable Dr. Chris Badiomunsi, PSST, Dr. Ramadan Gobi, the Chairman, MTN Group, or MTN Uganda, the High Commissioner, South Africa to Uganda, Mama Lulu, our regulators, UCC, Bank of Uganda, all the CMA, USE, and all you distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'll welcome you here this morning, and I want to really, really thank you for taking the time to be here with us today. Today is a truly, truly historic moment, and it is historic in many ways. The first, I think we have to sit back and take in this moment. If you've been a market player for the last 23 years, and if you've been following the markets, you realize that we are really, really living in historic times. This transaction is the first of its kind in many, many ways. First, because of the size, it is by far the largest IPO we've had in Uganda. But also, according to a McKinsey report, it is the largest IPO on the continent this year. And to be able to do that, and do it in an environmentally conscious manner, given the times we're living in, is truly, truly exceptional. And for that, we thank and applaud MTN for their innovation. Third, and equally important, is the fact that at the core of this IPO was a need for inclusion, a need for having Ugandans play a bigger role in the corporates they serve. I learned a new phrase from MTN, shared value. And really, with the numbers I'll share, you will see that this is a true step in sharing value in the companies where they operate. So, MTN, we congratulate you and really, really welcome you to the market. As players who have worked in this market for a long time, we take exceptional pride in moving forward. When you hear that 65,000 Ugandans opened CSD accounts, new, never before opened CSD accounts, that is one step further. When you hear that we're bringing the largest IPO to the market, that's one step closer. The lessons we learn from here will go on to serve us again and again as we go along. This continues to be a learning process, but this really is a step change in the organization. So to thank, and mine is really two things. One, to thank, but the second one is to also give you the right information about the IPO. So I'll start by recognizing and thanking all the investors who took the bold step, especially the first-timers. Thank you very much for standing up. Thank you very much for trying something new. Thank you for really taking your own financial freedom and driving it, because this is what this transaction is all about. The second to thank are our regulators. In the course of putting this transaction together, as you can imagine, there was never a straight line. There is no playbook that told you what step to go where. It is exceptional, it is different, it is unique in its nature. And we want to thank our regulators. The regulators have been absolutely incredible. I think they deserve a bigger hand clap. Because this is truly uncharted territory. So from the CMA, Mr. Keith Kalijera, I'm going to ask you to please applaud him and his visionary leadership. Mr. Paul Buiso at the Uganda Stock Exchange, we applaud you and we thank you. His team worked very hard to get the MIPO to work with the system. And there were sleepless nights put into this. And for being bold and inspirational, Paul, we thank you and your team and we applaud you. Uganda Communications Commission under Irene Sewankambo's able leadership. Engineer Irene, we thank you. We applaud you. And really thank you for taking us into this. Then our own regulators, and now we share regulators with MTN, the Bank of Uganda. Believe it or not, they were equally involved, and they were just as willing to take, to look at the transaction and understand what it needed or what it would take to move it forward. And they did give those allowances, they gave the accommodations and the guidance for us to be able to do that. So to Bank of Uganda, we thank you, Dr. Tingago, we thank you and applaud you very, very much. I now come to the active players in this transaction. I will start with the transaction advisors. The team at Stanbic, well done, even if I do say so myself. There were several sleepless nights, so thank you very much for that. But there were also other people into this. The beauty about this transaction is it was as broad-based as we could make it. So there were other very active players into this, and I want to take the time to recognize them. I will start with the two leading sponsors into this, that's SBG Securities, as well as Crested Stocks. I haven't seen Crested Stocks somewhere, but I know they're in the room. Well done. You are incredible. Thank you very, very much. And SBG Securities is somewhere in the room as well. Well done. I will also talk about the other brokers in the room. The work you did was incredible. We thank you very, very much. The receiving banks, one of whom I see, my brother Mumba, thank you very much for your role, as well as Standard Chartered, who are receiving banks along with Stanbic. We thank you and recognize you for your exceptional role. Now, if we get into the technicals of my presentation and the real nitty-gritty, and in here, I would like to share and appreciate the uniqueness of this transaction. So we offered a total of 4.4 billion shares. Of that, 2.9 billion shares have been allocated, which is what Wim alluded to, 65% of the shares on offer. Of the 2.9 billion shares on offer, 222 million shares were bonus shares. We should clap for that. There are not many issuers who will give you 222 million shares in bonus. This is really at the heart of sharing value. So we had a total of 21,394 applicants. And of those, 20,894 were Ugandans. Ugandans onto the Securities Exchange for the first time. When it comes to regional split, we also did well as Ugandans, taking 84% of the allocation was to Ugandans. The East African community took 9%, and the internationals were only 4%. When it comes to retail versus professional investors, 10% of this offer is going to local hands. Ordinary Ugandans, the wananchi who walk the streets of Uganda, put in up to 54 billion Uganda shillings. Of course, 90% of the offer was. When we talk about truly revolutionary things, the MIPO is one such. With 90% of this subscription being via MIPO, and about 10% coming onto the Easy portal. This is really, really breaking the barriers, because as Mr. Buiso explained in the video, in the past, what it took for somebody to buy the shares, to even have the boldness to find where do the brokers sit, where can I find them, and to change all that and to be able to put it in the hands of anybody even somebody with a Katochi phone is truly, truly exceptional. And it's what we want to do, to say financial inclusion is a right. It is a right. It is not a nice to have. It is not a preserve of those who speak English or know where the offices are. It's a right for every Ugandan to be included. So again, 90% of the offer on that is really, really exceptional. So as I close, I want to thank you all for the time and the effort, but I also want to add that the lessons we've learned in this process will be taken to the next IPO. So we take the learnings and we use it to develop our markets to make them better. When we look at the places and the markets we admire, we note that they were not built overnight. It took transactions like this to move the market to the next level, and another transaction to move the market to the next level. So we glory and we celebrate in your achievement today, MTN. And we, as market participants, are proud to take the lessons to the next, and we wish you the very best. We welcome you to being a listed entity. It's been very few of us up there, so welcome. Thank you very much. Welcome to the era of governance, and I look forward to your first AGM. And as I close, on behalf of the entire Stanbic family, I want to say a big thank you. Thank you very much for trusting us and honoring us with what is one of the biggest transactions in this market. Thank you very, very much.
My home, I just wanna go to Uganda. My home, oh my Uganda. Right from the start, the relationship between the people of Uganda and MTN has been nothing short of spectacular. Together, we have had fantastic moments, too numerous to recount. And after securing our second national telecommunication operator license, we knew there was only one thing to do: somehow make what was perfect even better.
It is with great honor I announce MTN's intention to float 20% of its issued shares through an initial public offer.
Though the IPO featured in the license renewal requirements, such a move was already in the cards for MTN as part of our masterful ambition 2025.
We've always had the intention of actually spreading that over a period of time. And basically what the government requirements, actually all they did is to accelerate what we actually already had in plan.
On 11th October, MTN Uganda CEO Mr. Wim van Hellepute officially got things underway, revealing the big offer.
The total number of shares of the company MTN Uganda is 22.5 billion. So 20% of that 22.5 billion, which is 4.5 billion, is now for sale to the general public at a value of 200 Uganda shilling per share.
4.5 billion MTN shares will raise almost 1 trillion shillings. Now, this means that in a single move, the market capitalization of the Uganda Securities Exchange will almost treble. But that's the monstrous muscle gain in value you make when a player that has declared over 370 billion shillings in profit for the financial year 2021 comes into your corner.
MTN's listing is going to fast-track Uganda's categorization as a frontier market country in the Morgan Stanley Capital International, which requires at least 2 companies valued at a minimum of $630 million to be listed on a local exchange in a country.
Between October 11th and November 22nd, MTN Uganda executives led by CEO Mr. Wim showcased integrity and can-do spirit, fearlessly conquering terrain and weather in equal measure. And thus, in just 6 weeks, with a record of over 300 town hall meetings held and just as many media engagements, the hardy executives successfully traversed the entire country.
The very reason we've gone around is to make sure Ugandans don't miss this opportunity.
we were determined to sensitize the masses and dispel any rumors and lugambo.
When we enter a district or into a city, you find that there's a bit of skepticism and the level of understanding is not as high. But then with our continued engagements with the local people through their radio stations and through their community leaders, through the town halls we've had, by the time we leave that city or that town or the district, there's an improved level of understanding.
The importance of the 6 weeks of the MTN IPO run cannot be overstated. For the first time, multitudes of Ugandans got to learn about the stock market. And as we interacted with people, clarifying issues, correcting misinformation, and dispelling outright myths, the trust was reinforced.
I've gotten to clear my fears in terms of where I should invest my money as a public servant.
Uganda shillings akesipolo soda nwichani pedro soda alomar toma.
MTN etuwadde emigabo 15 ku mitwalo 10 ate ng'egenda kuwayo n'ennyongeza ya migabo 10. Akasente ako kakuyamba nnyo mu maaso.
Haliwo kampuni etwatunzire itonka batunzi ba broker mpango nalishi ekola magoba mingi nkaga MTN.
Over 60,000 individuals had opened SCD accounts, but the offers closed on November 22nd. For us, that is a fantastic start, galvanizing us to reward this trust even more.
We cannot run this campaign and say Uganda is home if we don't want thousands and thousands of new Ugandan shareholders. But we are really looking forward to hosting thousands and thousands of new shareholders on our annual general meeting. We're really looking forward to that.
And so here we are today, standing firm, basking in the yellow glow that is lighting the next step of our journey. And we are so proud that there's so many of us. So thank you for your trust. We will not let you down, for we are the better connection. For we are everywhere you go.
For us, Moroto is home!
It feels so good to say it. Yes, Uganda is home.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Executive Director, Uganda Securities Exchange, Mr. Paul Bwiso.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. All protocol observed. Due to time-sensitive issues, the market is about to open and it's automated. I'll ask our guest of honor, the Honorable Minister, to come forward alongside the Chairman of the Board of MTN, Mr. Charles Mbire, Executive Director, UCC, Irene, Richard, our Acting Chairman of the Board, and the CEO, Uganda Securities, MTN. All right.
Paul, feel free to let us know what's going to happen. So I'll pass you a mobile microphone. Please bring the, Can I put the mic up? It won't make the picture very beautiful. Let me give Paul the mic. Yes.
Are you going to move a mask? Look at this. Yes, I think so. You can move your mask. I have to stand it. Absolutely. Okay, so the market opens at 9:30 exact. On my left, we've got the stockbrokers in red jackets representing the different stock brokerage houses. We've got the manager in a green coat, and the brokers are in red coats. So in a few moments, we will be opening the market and it will be signified on the screen. What is important to note is that this transaction, while MTN was trying to raise capital, is in the primary market, and the Uganda Securities Exchange is the secondary market. So this signifies the official admission of MTN Uganda onto the stock market. Is it? Yes. Congratulations. Yes. Okay, so the screen signifies the different activities and different companies listed on the exchange. What MTN stock reflects is that at a price of 200 and the number of shares listed, the 4.8 billion, that means that it has been admitted with a market capitalization of over 4.2 billion. We closed. The market closed with 3.8 billion market capitalization on Friday, and today it has opened at 8.2 trillion. Sorry, trillion. Wrong. Okay, thank you. Yes, it has more than doubled, and that means we've been admitted into the a new sector. Sorry. I didn't want to use complicated words.
All right.
All right, thank you.
A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Please stay there.
Yes,
our
please.
chief guest, please stay. We want a photo. So we'll now, without Paul speaking the mic, Irene and Anne, I want to see how we can see all of you. I don't know how we will. Wim, we have a photo, Wim. We have a photo, Wim. Wim is so excited. I would be if I was Wim. All right. Okay. Paul, you also went back. We want to organize ourselves for the photo. Yes, there you go. As long as you don't speak, the masks can come off. Don't speak to each other. And they're all vaccinated, I know. So, Anjuko, mask. Thank you. All right. You have 1 minute, cameraman. 1 minute. Another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, to the listing of MTN. Very historic indeed, ladies and gentlemen. All right, masks back on, masks back on. Thank you very much. Paul, you still had the floor. Our chief guest, if you can make your way, and the chair, and all our stakeholders and the High Commissioner could make your way to your seats. And I'll invite again the CEO, Paul Buiso, to make his remarks now that we've officially listed MTN on the stock exchange. And trading has started. So if you're joining us, you're watching, this is an opportunity, if you never bought your initial shares, to actually buy and trade in the shares. You're welcome, Paul.
Okay, thank you. And good morning once again. All protocol observed. I'll speak to a few issues or pointers in regards to this IPO. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate MTN for being the 10th local listed company on the stock exchange. It's also the 18th listed company on the market if we put in the cross-listed companies from Kenya. This IPO has been executed electronically, and it was the first of a kind, as mentioned by the previous speakers. And from the exchange perspective, the number of trading accounts that were opened during this period were 74,000. What this implies is that 195% increment in the number of accounts opened prior to the IPO. That was in September. We had 38,000 accounts, and we currently stand at 113 securities trading accounts. 113,000, sorry. Of these, 92% of the 74,000 accounts were opened using the USSD MIPO solution. So I'd like to thank Wim and his team for bringing forth this innovation that resulted in such a big number of accounts being opened in such a short time. As Anne mentioned earlier, the number of individual investors were 21,394 during the IPO, representing, and of those, 20,894 were Ugandan retail and institutional investors, representing 98% of the offer. Key to note is that only 19% of the investors on the exchange actually participated in this IPO. But I must say that Wim and his team and the transaction advisors and the stockbrokers went to a great length to explain the different aspects of the capital markets, the stock exchange, how companies trade on the market, the benefits and the challenges of being an investor, but also the simplicity of putting your investments in your hand. So, Wim, thank you very much for the work you've done, and we really appreciate it from the Uganda Securities Exchange. It was mentioned that this is the largest IPO in Africa this year, and I must thank the Ugandan retail investors who put in over 54 billion in this IPO in over 6 weeks. That is really big, and it's commendable, and congratulations on that. It shows the value and understanding of the market, but also the interest of having a new asset class in terms of investments. So the 9%, the 10% retail investors, we look forward to assisting you to understand how to continue participating in the market, how to monitor your investments, how to get value, real value, out of being a shareholder on the exchange. As the secondary market, our role is also regulatory. We are the first line of defense for Capital Markets Authority. So as a public listed company, we do know that MTN now will have to comply to numerous disclosures, timely reporting of financials and any material information. And our role is to ensure that this is done in a transparent manner. So to the MTN team, we look forward to this partnership and being able to guide you in this new journey. And would like to say congratulations once again, but thank you for joining us on the exchange. At this point in time, I will ask our acting chair, Richard, to come and say a few words. Richard.
Thank you so much. My protocol is not good. Vim will keep it at Vim, so I won't go the other way. Honorable Minister, Chairman of the MTN, High Commissioner, UCC, Stanbic Bank, anybody else who is important, and everybody like me, how are you this morning? On behalf of the Stock Exchange, you must be wondering, I've probably got another day job. I'm actually CEO of NSSF, and I'm not here because of that. I'm here because I'm the chairman of, acting chairman of the Uganda Stock Exchange, to which I make these comments. So it is a monumental time for the exchange. You've heard all the numbers. We've not done this before in a long time. 23 years we've been around. We've not raised as much money on the stock exchange as we've done this time round, so great stuff. Our market cap has gone up, more than doubled, from 41 trillion shillings to 4.1 trillion shillings to 8.2 trillion shillings. So that's really great for us at the stock exchange. And I think this is a testimony that all of you out there with your struggling businesses that can't raise money from commercial banks, sorry guys in the commercial bank areas, you guys are very expensive, I'm sure you know that. We have a lot of patient capital that's available here. Please come and raise money from the stock exchange. I call upon all the other sectors, not only the telcos. A lot of you require a lot of capital to run your businesses. Please come to the stock exchange, raise money, because as you've seen, MTN has done it, so can you. I'm sure you can all take advantage of what's available in the market. These have been very challenging times, as you probably know, and yet we've been able to reach this success that has been achieved. So I think that we've shown that the market is resilient. We've shown that for a good company, there will always be capital available for you to run your businesses. So please come to the stock exchange and do that, because that's where you can get patient capital to run your businesses and grow it and make sure that you return money to your shareholders in a very diverse and incredible market. So with those few words, I'd like to ask you, Paul, to continue with, oh, you've done. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for the Uganda Securities Exchange. All right, so when we grew up, the bell was such a critical thing in school. So it meant that either you were late or it was time for food, right? And this was the key highlight for today. So trading has started. Our brokers are on this end. I like the fact that I can move, and I was told don't stay in one place. So our brokers are here. They look very nice in this color. I know that the chief guest wouldn't be excited, but please, I'm told, I know you're busy, but can we have a photo? Please come to the front. If you could just give us 1 minute. We want to see you. And Wim, please come, and the chair of the board. Let's have a photo. You'll give them space in the middle. And since our chief guest is wearing a yellow tie, he will be in the middle. And the chairman is also wearing a yellow tie. And Wim is wearing a yellow tie. We'll balance this color off, okay? Please note that there is live trading going on. At some point, a couple of you were more richer at 220. And if you notice, the board keeps flipping, depending on the... Please come to the front. There. Yes. The chief guest will be in the middle, Wim and the chair on the other side, and then we'll have the brokers on either side. So some of you on this side, the ladies, make sure you are on either side so we don't have only gentlemen on one side. Some of you on this side, our brokers, come. Yes. There you go. So that's the team. We're doing live trading right now, and you'll notice it's digital, so they are here. They traditionally would have been in the office before very huge screens, looking at the market and managing the different securities on the market, or stocks on the market, rather. And so, as mentioned, MTN joins the team as the 10th listed company on the stock exchange. And it's quite an exciting time right now for Paul and the team. Okay, we're done, photographers? Thank you very much, our brokers. Thank you very much, chief guest. You could make your way back. All right. So, a couple of things I picked from the conversation, and Anne was giving us the numbers. First, the excitement. 85% were Ugandans. That's another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And also, when... All right. Paul is giving me very good news, and he's consulting. This is a live thing, so let me ask the trading manager. Please come. Who's the trading manager? So let's get real numbers. We are going to discuss what's happening. I know a couple of them will happen as we are talking, but you want to tell us where we are? I'm hearing a very huge number of those who are currently trading. What's happening? I'll hold it. COVID.
Yes, so far we have traded 50,000 shares of MTN at a price of 205.
Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. 50,000 in the last 10 minutes. And this is actually 15 minutes. And so this is going on live. It's quite an exciting period. And so keep looking at the number there. I know some of you are also shareholders in other businesses here, and you're interested. And I know Stanbic is looking and saying, you're not talking about me. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's quickly move. Allow me to invite our chair, the chairman of the MTN board, to come and make his remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, Charles Mbide.
Sanitize it, please. Thank you very much. The guest of honor, the Minister of ICT, Dr. Chris Baryomunsi, the High Commissioner of the Republic of South Africa to Uganda, Her Excellency Lulama Mary Teresa Kisongwana, the Executive Director, Uganda Communications Commission, Mrs. Irene Kagwa Sewankambo, the Executive Director, Payment Systems, Bank of Uganda, Mr. Makay Aomu, the CEO, Capital Markets Authority, Mr. Keith Kariejira, the CEO, Uganda Securities Exchange, Mr. Paul Buiso, the Managing Director, NSSF, Mr. Richard Biarugaba, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance, Dr. Ramadan Gobi, the Head of FIA, Mr. Asubo, members of the Board of MTN Uganda, also online, the MT Group Vice President for Southern and East African Region, Ms. Yolanda Cuba, the CEO, MTN Uganda, Mr. Wim Van Helleput, the new shareholders of MTN Uganda in your respective capacities, distinguished members of the business community, and members of the press. Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to join you in witnessing what is, without doubt, a major milestone in the history of MTN Uganda. Today, at the culmination of what has been a formidable journey, we are delighted by the success we have achieved in broadening and opening up our shareholding to Uganda. Starting today, almost 21,000 ordinary Ugandan citizens will graduate from being not just customers of MTN Uganda, but also owners. Equally remarkable is the fact that a good number of these are first-time investors in the stock market who took advantage of the innovative deployment of MTN Uganda's digital products to participate in the biggest IPO ever in Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, as MTN Uganda, we are immensely proud of the positive impact we have had through this IPO in deepening digital inclusion among our people and their access to and participation in Uganda's fast-growing capital market. As I welcome all our new shareholders who are Ugandans, East Africans, foreign, institutional, individual, to MTN Uganda family, I wish to thank you for the confidence you have shown in our company, the MTN brand, and the strategic direction we have pursued over the years. As MTN Uganda embarks on this important phase of its life in Uganda, as a publicly listed company, I want to, on behalf of the board, assure all our stakeholders that we shall continue to be guided by the very pillars that we have underpinned and sustained our success in this country. That is customer centricity, regulatory compliance, and good corporate citizenship. We wish to assure our shareholders that we will continue to strive towards strengthening MTN's fundamentals, strategic astuteness, and the highest standards of corporate governance, and to always deliver and sustain value for you, our shareholders, now and into the future. Ladies and gentlemen, if there was a benchmark for what constitutes a supportive business environment, it is the way our regulators have worked hard to facilitate this IPO. We thank you, the Minister of ICT, the Uganda Communications Commission, the Capital Markets Authority, and our hosts today, the Uganda Securities Exchange, for a great and resoundingly successful partnership. On one more note from myself, I wish to thank, and I think this is an opportunity I have not had for 23 years, one bank that came to my rescue 23 years ago. We won an international tender to start communications in Uganda, which was evaluated by IFC, part of an arm of World Bank. I was a partner. I'd sell my house, I'd sell my farm, I'd sell my house in Kololo, to raise the funds to be a shareholder of MTN. I had been promised by a venture capitalist that would support me, and the last minute, they grew cold feet. So I approached several banks, and one of my witnesses is seated over there. He's called Mr. Richard Byarugaba. He was a boss of one bank, who said, communications, no way, there's already a company here, just forget it. So I entered Stanbic Bank. I met a man called Mr. Dutoit. I hope he's still alive and he have access to this. I told him my predicament, and he told me, wait, I'll accept your personal guarantee, and you can walk out of here with $580,000 to make your contribution, to further contribution. I will never forget that statement. And Stanbic Bank, I thank you very much, because I know beyond that, they supported me to go to Standard Group to get further money, which I did. And beyond that, I also wish to thank Standard Chartered Bank, who also chipped in after about a year for my final contribution to my share capital. And the good news is that they were patient with me, and I paid them all back. And I really publicly want to say thank you very much. And I want to welcome my new partners, my colleagues, my brothers and sisters to MTN. And just one little thing that a friend of mine, Mr. Putuma, the former chairman of MTN, once told me. I complained to him and said, you know, you guys, the way you're spending and so on, you're very slow at doing things. He looked at me in the eye and says, Charles, other people spend and then think. Other people spend and then think. At MTN, we think and then we spend. At MTN, we think and then spend. And lastly, he told me, Charles, small of big is better than big of small. Small of big is better than big of small. Ladies and gentlemen, new partners, new members of the MTN family, welcome. Let's work together. This is now a truly Ugandan company. Uganda is home. MTN is home. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for the chair, MTN Uganda, who was speaking not just as a chair, but also a shareholder in MTN. And the trading continues, so we'll probably give you updates on the numbers, but to tell you that this is an opportunity for those of you who are watching at home and joining us online to now log in, and you can now, using your different brokers, be able to trade and buy the shares online. So that is something you can do with your existing broker. All right, so we'll now, and I noticed the chairman spoke to this, we'll now invite the Vice President, South and Eastern Africa for the MTN Group, Ms. Yolande, to speak to us. You're welcome, Yolande.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me. Firstly, let me greet all our dignitaries. Our guest of honor for this event, the Honorable Dr. Chris Baruasi, Uganda's Minister of Information Communications Technology and National Guidance. The High Commissioner of the Republic of South Africa to Uganda, Her Excellency Umama Ululu Tungwane. The Executive Director of the Uganda Communications Commission, Ms. Irene Sakwambalo. The Executive Director of Direct Payment Systems for the Bank of Uganda, Mr. McKay Awumo. The CEO of the Capital Markets Authority, Mr. Keith Kaligira. The CEO of the Ugandan Stock Exchange, Mr. Paul Wiso. The Managing Director of the NSSF, Mr. Richard Barugaba. The Chairman of MTN Uganda, Mr. Charles Mbiri. Members of the Board of MTN Uganda. The CEO of MTN Uganda, Mr. Wim van Helleputter, together with his ExCo team. The new shareholders of MTN in all their respective capacity, whom we are here to celebrate today. Our distinguished ladies and gentlemen from the business communities, from the members of the press, and you all, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you with a warm welcome from the South Tip of Africa. I would like to begin by thanking you for honoring our invitation to this day as we celebrate one of the biggest milestones for MTN Uganda. We are truly proud today as MTN Group. For months, a team of executives from MTN Group, together with those in MTN Uganda, and I being part of them, have planned our trip to Uganda to witness this momentous occasion, and which we now fondly call homecoming. However, as we eagerly waited for this moment to be there with you, and wearing our gomeses, our kenzus, and even learned a few local words, that was not meant to be. COVID had to really come into the way. With the new variant, unfortunately, some of us were not in a position to travel. But nonetheless, I still bear joyful greetings from the entire team from MTN here in South Africa as we celebrate the fact that Uganda now is indeed and truly our home. I am happy to be joined virtually by my colleagues, Kolegile Ndamase, who is our Group Chief Mergers and Acquisitions and Business Development Officer, our Group Financial Officer, Chief Financial Officer, Mrs. Sulu Mulife. We've got Lele Modise, who's our Group Legal Counsel, and Feleng Secha, who's our Group Chief Regulation and Corporate Affairs, together with their teams that have really worked tirelessly to ensure this actually happens today. And therefore, I'm thanking them for being able to join us as well as part of, virtually as part of today. Today, MTN Uganda joins 3 other markets within the MTN ecosystem, which have opened their ownership to embrace significant number of local shareholders. You would have heard a number of people talk to shared value, and this is indeed a moment of shared value in action for us. Our firm belief as MTN is that we believe in shared value, and today it is eloquently expressed as we list and welcome our new shareholders and stakeholders. Our commitment is to continue to enhance the competitiveness of our company while simultaneously advancing the economic and social conditions in the communities in which we operate as MTN. We will deliver this through our Ambition 2025 strategy, which a lot of you as new shareholders would have heard about in the roadshow. This Ambition 2025 strategy actually outlines our intention to lead the provision of world-class and diverse range of services, including voice, data, digital, fintech, wholesale, and enterprise services to our more than today 277 million customers across 20 markets. And that number, we continue to grow each and every day as we increase our execution in terms of our strategy, which is called Ambition 2025. May I reiterate MTN's specific commitment in this regard to the people of Uganda. A lot of you have come to us to tell us that MTN should be doing more, should be investing more. And as the chairman mentioned, our ex-chairman actually mentioned that as MTN, sometimes we sit and think long, but execute fast. And in this regard, I would like to put on record our commitment to the people of Uganda. MTN Uganda will invest nearly $300 million over the next 3 years to actually expand our product and services to ensure that we cover more than 90% of the land mass. That is around 1 trillion Ugandan sheet solutions in ensuring that each and every community we serve is confident that these investments will enable us to deliver constructive value to our shareholders, our communities, and the country as a whole. Today is therefore for us a fulfillment of our mantra, which is we are good together. I thank all our new shareholders who have come on board, and I promise you an exciting time ahead. Thank you for choosing to co-partner with us as MTN as we continue to deliver and drive our dream to ensure that MTN indeed actually realizes and delivers on the African dream for Africa. Together, we will go everywhere. We are everywhere you go. Together, we will deliver the benefits of a modern connected life. And indeed, together, we will lead the digital solutions for Africa's progress. MTN and Uganda, we are good together. Uganda for us is home. I thank you.
Thank you, Yolanda. Another round of applause for Yolanda Cuba. Yolanda, Dara, and thanks for, we really miss having you here. It would have been nice to see you here physically in your Gomesi, as you said. And also, Yolanda, I want to thank you, and I think the chief guest will probably also be grateful for this, that you helped us pronounce the High Commissioner's name right. And we will not dare try and pronounce her name as you did. So thank you, Yolanda, because you then helped us pronounce that particular name the way it should be pronounced. All right. So I want to invite Harmonix on the stage. But as Harmonix comes, I want to turn you back to our live painting. And I see the progress made thus far. We are not even at 100%, but you can see what's happening. So that gives you really a picture of what's happening today. The listing of MTN on the stock exchange, of course, the price at which we are trading currently, and that will change. But also, this will mark quite a landmark for us towards the end when the minister and the chair penned their signature on this painting that will find a beautiful place at MTN Uganda. All right, so everyone is singing to the Uganda is Home song. I don't know any single child in any home who doesn't sing when this song comes on television or even radio. First of all, it's a great piece of art. So for the team that put this together, MTN, well done. Job well done. It represented very well where I come from and the minister comes from, our region in Chigezi. We are captured very well there. But I noticed every single person has a moment in that video. Every single Ugandan has a moment in that video. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome with me Harmonix performing this fantastic song, Uganda is Home.
My home, I smile when I look at you, Uganda. My home, my home, I dance when I think of you, Uganda. My home, under the sun so bright, under the moon and my heart, around me, oh, Uganda. I know what to do, I'll always be forever. I know what to do, I know what to do, because I know that we belong together. My home, under the sun so bright, under the moon at night, on my heart, around me, oh, my Uganda.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, another big round of thank you so much. It now gives me great pleasure to invite the CEO, Capital Markets Authority, Keith Karegeera, to come and make his remarks. You're most welcome, Keith.
Honorable Chief Guest, the Minister of ICT, High Excellency, the High Commissioner from the Republic of South Africa, Chairman of MTN, Mr. Charles Mbire, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and all protocol observed. So today we witness the listing of MTN Uganda, one of the, if not the largest taxpayer in Uganda, the largest telecom company in Uganda, the largest mobile money company in Uganda, and now the largest publicly owned and listed company in Uganda. On behalf of the board and management of the Capital Markets Authority, I would like to extend my sincere congratulations on this milestone. I would also like to extend my sincere thanks to all those who are involved in making this day a reality, the relevant arms of government like the Uganda Communication Commission, represented by Irene, the Ministry of Finance, Ramadan has left, and his team, the Ministry of Justice, the management and staff of MTN, the transaction advisor, SBG Securities, supported by Stanbic Bank, the management and staff of the Uganda Securities Exchange, for the crucial role that they have all played in getting us to this momentous point in the history of Uganda's capital markets. I know it took a lot of effort, burning of the midnight oil, and a lot of sacrifice for this listing to come to fruition, and for that, we thank you all. Allow me to also specifically recognize the MTN Group, which headed government's policy aimed at broadening ownership of Uganda's telecom assets public. This indeed is a testament of a world-class corporate citizen on the part of MTN Group. Ladies and gentlemen, today's listing of MTN Uganda at the Uganda Securities Exchange is a watershed moment in the development trajectory of Uganda's capital markets for several reasons. And the important speeches by the CEO of MTN, the CEO of Stanbic Bank, the chairman of MTN, the vice president MTN Group, the CEO of the Uganda Securities Exchange just now, all fully explain the significance of this listing for the company, for the group, and for the Uganda Securities Exchange. This listing raises expectations for further development of the Uganda Securities Exchange. I will not try and go into the figures this time. All I can say is that the market cap, the number of shareholders onboarded, the size of the offer are all records set by this listing. The listing is quite significant as it draws the Uganda market closer to being categorized as a frontier market by the different providers of categorization indices, and in particular the Morgan Stanley Capital International, as I mentioned earlier. And the categorization of Uganda as a frontier market will go a long way in attracting foreign capital to Uganda, especially from the global fund managers that only invest in markets that have a categorization. As a country, we have also seen ambitious financial sector development and inclusion plans launched, key among which is the 10-year Capital Markets Development Plan launched by His Excellency the President in 2017. This plan, once again, is hinged on 5 pillars, namely to broaden the range and number of equity and debt securities seeking capital, debt issuers seeking capital, to widen the investor base and investor choice, to make market infrastructure more cost-effective, and enhance the quality of intermediation, and improve the legal, regulatory, and supervisory framework. We have seen savings in NSF, company-sponsored retirement benefit schemes, and collective investment schemes all grow tremendously over the past 7 years to a combined total of about 18 trillion Uganda shillings to date. As CMA, we've also been involved in reforming the capital markets industry, and many of these efforts are bearing fruit. Recently, Uganda was ranked at number 5, up from number 10 in the ABSA Africa Financial Markets Index. And this IPO really has revealed some of the strengths, and yes, indeed, some of the weaknesses in the 5 areas of the Capital Markets Development Master Plan that the Master Plan is trying to address. The question for us is what next after this listing? How do we draw lessons that Anna spoke about that will strengthen and grow our capital markets? Ultimately, how do we support capital raising the debt and equity capital markets to finance the growth of our business enterprises? How can we all use and position the capital markets ecosystem to complement the banking system by providing more resources, more sources of long-term capital to increase jobs so that more Ugandans are able to invest, so that more Ugandans are able to insure their lives and property, so that more Ugandans are able to save for retirement, and also so that more Ugandans are able to use the banking system and indeed the mobile money system. Part of the answer to these questions lie in making the capital markets more efficient from an operational and regulatory perspective, with respect to price discoveries for smaller IPOs, dealing and any other intervention required to increase liquidity in the debt and equity capital markets in order to encourage more institutional investors to participate in our markets. Also, the communications around public offers. There's a saying that on social media, controversial news spreads at a multiple of about 10. But the positive news or the news to try and set this record straight only spreads or travels at a speed of around 1 or 2. So, and that's one of the huge lessons for us, I think, from this IPO. So companies and advisors to these companies seeking market-based financing have to be financially disciplined and ethical in all their dealings. And once they have successfully attracted investors, this ethical and fiduciary conduct is expected to continue. As I conclude, allow me to talk about one of the things that came up during this particular IPO and which defines a large aspect of our role as a regulator, as a CMA, and that is investor protection. I know some concern has been raised about how minority shareholders will be protected in the face of a dominant shareholder, with particular reference to transparency and fairness in related party transactions that may disadvantage minority shareholders. I would like to assure the public that there are sufficient safeguards in the laws, specifically the Capital Markets Corporate Governance Guidelines, the US e-listing rules, and the Companies Act, specifically Table F, that protects investors. These provisions in the laws, rules, and guidelines cover areas such as fair treatment of all shareholders, appointment and independence of directors of the company, shareholders' access to information, with emphasis to full disclosure of relevant material information, and timely communication to shareholders, distribution of dividends, and so forth. I know majority shareholders hold large sway on most of these issues, but I expect that MTN Uganda, as a responsible and now public corporate citizen, will uphold best practice in dealing with minority shareholders. So once again, I congratulate all the different parties that made this IPO a reality, and congratulations to MTN on your debut, and best wishes on this journey. God bless you, for God and my country.
Thank you very much, Keith. Another round of applause for Keith Karejira, the CEO of Capital Markets Authority. I wanted to now allow you to turn your attention to this screen. We'll now take you through the MTN IPO journey. The CEO, Wim, did speak to this 3-year journey, but a lot of Ugandans would probably be thinking of 11th of October 2021. So let's turn to the screen and take a look at how far we have come.
I just wanna go to Uganda.
My home, oh my Uganda.
Right from the start, the relationship between the people of Uganda and MTN has been nothing short of spectacular. Together, we have had fantastic moments, too numerous to recount. And after securing our second national telecommunication operator license, we knew there was only one thing to do: somehow make what was perfect even better.
It is with great honor I announce MTN's intention to float 20% of its issued shares through an initial public offer.
Though the IPO featured in the license renewal requirements, such a move was already in the cards for MTN as part of our masterful ambition 2025.
We've always had the intention of actually spreading that over a period of time. And basically what the government requirements, actually all they did is to accelerate what we actually already had in plan.
On 11th October, MTN Uganda CEO Mr. Wim Van Hellepute officially got things underway, revealing the big offer.
The total number of shares of the company MTN Uganda is 22.5 billion. So 20% of that 22.5 billion, which is 4.5 billion, is now for sale to the general public at a value of 200 Uganda shilling per share.
4.5 billion MTN shares will raise almost 1 trillion shillings. Now, this means that in a single move, the market capitalization of the Uganda Securities Exchange will almost treble. But that's the monstrous muscle gain in value you make when a player that has declared over 370 billion shillings in profit for the financial year 2021 comes into your corner.
MTN's listing is going to fast-track Uganda's categorization as a frontier market country in the Morgan Stanley Capital International, which requires at least 2 companies valued at a minimum of $630 million to be listed on a local exchange in a country.
Between October 11th and November 22nd, MTN Uganda executives led by CEO Mr. Wim showcased integrity and can-do spirit, fearlessly conquering terrain and weather in equal measure. And thus, in just 6 weeks, with a record of over 300 town hall meetings held and just as many media engagements, the hardy executives successfully traversed the entire country.
The very reason we've gone around is to make sure Ugandans don't miss this opportunity.
We were determined to sensitize the masses and dispel any rumors and lugambo.
When we enter a district or into a city, you find that there's a bit of skepticism and the level of understanding is not as high. But then with our continued engagements with the local people through their radio stations and through their community leaders, through the town halls we've had, by the time we leave that city or that town or the district, there's an improved level of understanding.
The importance of the 6 weeks of the MTN IPO run cannot be overstated. For the first time, multitudes of Ugandans got to learn about the stock market. And as we interacted with people, clarifying issues, correcting misinformation, and dispelling outright myths, the trust was reinforced.
I've gotten to clear my fears in terms of where I should invest my money as a public servant.
Iborani yala marisonoi narai egiaunt kedisirigin akwatare Uganda shillings akespolo soda nwichani pedor soda alomar toma.
MTN etuwadde emigabo 15 ku mitwalo 10 ate ng'egenda kuwayo n'ennyongeza ya migabo 10. Akasente ako kakuyamba nnyo mu maaso.
Haliho kampuni itwatunzire itonka batunzi ba broker mpango nalishe ekola magoba mingi nkaga MTN.
Over 60,000 individuals had opened SCD accounts by the offer's close on November 22nd. For us, that is a fantastic start, galvanizing us to reward this trust even more.
We cannot run this campaign and say Uganda is home if we don't want thousands and thousands of new Ugandan shareholders. So we are really looking forward to hosting thousands and thousands of new shareholders on our annual general meeting. We're really looking forward to that.
And so here we are today, standing firm, basking in the yellow glow that is lighting the next step of our journey. And we are so proud that there's so many of us. So thank you for your trust. We will not let you down. For we are the better connection. For we are everywhere you go.
For us, Moroto is home!
It feels so good to say it. Yes, Uganda is home.
All right, so that is the MTN IPO journey that, of course, has culminated in today's listing and the trading that is currently ongoing, and we're still at 206. And for those of you who are joining us, it's an opportunity for you to own what is now truly home to Uganda. Okay? Now, may I invite one of the most powerful women in this country, the CEO or the Executive Director, Uganda Communications Commission, Ms. Irene Kagwase Wankambo. You're most welcome. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Maurice. The chief guest and my minister, the Minister of ICT and National Guidance, Honorable Chris Baryomunsi, the High Commissioner of South Africa to Uganda, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, I think he's left the room, my fellow regulators, from the Capital Markets Authority and Bank of Uganda, the CEO, Uganda Securities Exchange, the MTN Group delegation led by Ms. Yolanda Cuba, the board chairman, MTN Uganda, the CEO, MTN Uganda, the new shareholders of MTN Uganda Limited, media partners, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the management and staff of Uganda Communications Commission, I greet you all this morning. I'm delighted to witness this historical day and wish to congratulate MTN Uganda upon a successful process. I know it hasn't been easy, but we are here today. The last time I was here for the launch of the IPO, and I can say with pride that you have indeed walked the talk. Uganda is now truly your home. I wish to also congratulate the other parties in this process: the government of Uganda, the Bank of Uganda, Capital Markets Authority, Uganda Securities Exchange, Stanbic Bank, and the people of the Republic of Uganda, for without the contribution of these to the process, we would likely not be here today. As I highlighted in October at the flagging off of this IPO journey, MTN Uganda has been part of Uganda's telecommunications journey for the last 23 years, since October 1998, a period in which the telecommunications sector has experienced fundamental change. From a time when getting a phone line was a challenge and owning a mobile phone was considered a luxury, to now when we can't imagine a second away from our phones. Just looking around the room, I think you know what I mean. Today we witness yet another milestone in which the people of Uganda are no longer just customers, but get to be owners of a large telecommunications company, all in 23 years. If that is not fundamental change, then I don't know what is. The dream has indeed become a reality. For us as the regulator in the development of a modern communications sector, and for Ugandans that heed the call and stepped out to grab that opportunity to become shareholders in MTN Uganda. I thank MTN Uganda for fulfilling this obligation under the National Telecommunication Operator License, which is enshrined in the new telecommunications licensing framework, and, as has already been alluded to by the other speakers, aligned to the National Broadband Policy of 2018. The objectives of this current licensing regime are to ease market entry and enhance competition, intensify the rollout of broadband internet across the country, to enhance local ownership of telecommunication services, and to promote effective utilization of the scarce communication resources. The benefits of this framework are beginning to come through as we witness today. And us, as the regulator, we believe that this shall also stimulate even more investment in the sector and ultimately spur further growth. The telecommunications sector is notably one of the fastest growing in Uganda, making it a strategic driver in Uganda's economic development and confirming its being identified as a transformational pillar in the realization of our National Vision 2040. The MIPO itself is a demonstration of this. All this has been made possible by an enabling policy environment created by the government of Uganda through the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance. Allow me, therefore, to use this opportunity to thank the government of Uganda for the forward-looking, transparent, and welcoming investment policy that has enabled companies such as MTN Uganda to feel at home here in Uganda. As partners in this journey
of an inclusive development of a digitally empowered Uganda. I wish to assure you of the Commission's continued support and constructive engagement for God and my country. Thank you very much.
Irene, before you leave, and I know I'll give it a minute, I will ask that you stay and invite our chief guest to speak to us, and then I'll give you a minute after that to sanitize the podium so we can have our chief guest speak. Please do invite our chief guest.
Okay. Thank you very much, Maurice. It is indeed my honor and now my responsibility to invite our chief guest and the Minister of ICT and National Guidance, Honorable Dr. Chris Baryomunsi.
Thank you very much, Irene, the ED of UCC, Your Excellency, the High Commissioner of the Republic of South Africa to Uganda, Madame Lorama Mary Teresa Kizingwana. I hope I am correct. The Permanent Secretary, Minister of Finance, but he has just left. He has been with us this morning. Permit me also to acknowledge the presence of the Chairman, MTN Uganda, Mr. Charles Mbire, and the other members of the board of MTN Uganda, the MTN Vice President for Southern and East African region, Madame Yolanda Chuba, who addressed us virtually, the Executive Director, UCC, Irene Kagwa Sewankambo, who has just been on the podium. Permit me also to acknowledge the Executive Director, Payment Systems, Bank of Uganda, the CEO, Capital Markets Authority, Mr. Keith Kariegira, the CEO, Uganda Securities Exchange, Mr. Paul Bwiso, my own brother, the Managing Director, NSSF, Richard Byarugaba, who is here with us, the CEO, MTN Uganda, the man who has one of the most difficult names, but it's easy to say, Mr. Wim. The others, you might bite your tongue. The transaction advisor, Madame Anna Juko of Stanbic Bank, present here. All the new shareholders of MTN Uganda in your respective capacities, distinguished friends, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, and protocol observed. Let me preface my remarks by conveying salutations and warm regards from His Excellency the President, Waike Museveni, whom you had invited to preside over this function, and he requested me to stand in for him. So I am here on behalf of the President of Uganda. And I am honored to preside over this great milestone in the history of MTN Uganda, the ICT sector, the capital markets, and our country at large. And I want to say congratulations, MTN, and congratulations to all of us in this country, Uganda. Today, MTN Uganda lists all its 22.4 billion shares on the Uganda Securities following a successful initial public offer, IPO. And this is a big deal for the government and the people of Uganda. With this transaction, Ugandans now have a stake in one of the notable growth sectors in the country. Secondly, the IPO and today's listing are a resounding demonstration and validation of the National Broadband Policy 2018, which is a living blueprint for the ICT sector in Uganda. The objectives of this policy are to aid in harnessing Uganda's potential to exploit ICTs for economic development, achieve affordability, digital inclusion, and connectivity for all. And this is predicated on the identification of ICTs as one of the job creation sectors in the National Development Plan 3 and a key driver of socio-economic transformation. This policy, the National Broadband Policy, seeks to achieve the aspirations of Uganda's Vision 2040 by supporting the implementation of NDP 3 objectives, whose theme is strengthening Uganda's competitiveness for sustainable wealth creation, employment, and inclusive growth. The policy emphasizes the role of broadband internet in the socio-economic transformation process as a critical enabler. More relevant to today's event, one of the stipulations of the National Broadband Policy 2018 is that it requires the holder of a national telecom operator license to list at least 20% of its shares on the Uganda's stock market. The rationale behind this is to diversify the ownership of the telecommunications companies active in our market. That is, make Ugandans co-owners of these businesses and enable them to reap the benefits of the digital revolution currently underway in our country. I am glad that with this landmark IPO, the objectives of the National Broadband Policy have been achieved. Ugandan individuals and professional investors now own more than 15% of MTN Uganda. Let me also hasten to add that when you mention the numbers that have participated in this investment, through NSSF, over 2 million Ugandans have entered into this investment. So NSSF might appear as one entity, but through it, over 2 million Ugandans are part of this investment. And we want to congratulate my brother, Richard Byarugaba, and the NSSF family. I want to congratulate our people who have taken advantage of this window to invest in MTN Uganda. Today, you elevate from just being users of MTN Uganda services to being part owners of MTN Uganda. This means now MTN is ours. When you say Uganda is home, MTN is home, this is what it means. Congratulations to MTN Uganda for the successful execution of the biggest IPO ever seen in this country. You have shown us that can be done. And this IPO and today's listing of shares on the USE continue a long tradition of regulatory compliance and good corporate citizenship by MTN Uganda, which have contributed in a big way to your success in this country in the last 23 years. With the successful conclusion of this transaction, you are not just fulfilling a regulatory requirement, you have touched the hearts of Uganda in a way. I am sure Ugandans will reciprocate through greater patronage of your services and what is probably the most critical business license of all, social license. You have demonstrated that your Uganda is home theme and rallying call is more than just a corporate tagline, but a reality. We look forward to the fulfillment of the other important NTO license obligation, notably the 90% landmass coverage by 20 2025. These are requirements that are in the national broadband policy. We are happy to hear about your commitment to invest more than 1 trillion Uganda shillings in network coverage and capacity expansion over the next 3 years, which will result in adding more than 1,000 additional telecom sites to your network. We want MTN to be and continue to be everywhere you go, as you always tell us. As MTN Uganda embarks on this transition into a publicly listed company, and as we rededicate ourselves to providing a conducive environment for the conduct of business in this sector, I wish you many more years of prosperity in your partnership with Uganda. To the new shareholders, especially Ugandans, I wish you commercial success in the form of sustained share appreciation and payment of annual dividends. Lastly, as I come towards the conclusion, as you are aware, business process outsourcing is one of those opportunities, if well harnessed, can create numerous jobs for Ugandan young population. But we are informed that one of the bottlenecks in the uptake of BPOs in Uganda is the quality of calls terminating in Uganda and the high cost of internet bandwidth. I therefore would like to urge the Uganda Communications Commission, MTN Uganda, and all the other telecommunication services providers to look into affordability of broadband services and the quality of voice calls for the benefit of all of us. I have been invited by the Committee of Parliament on ICT through a petition which was raised by Ugandans to discuss the quality of telecommunications services in this country. I therefore want to appeal to MTN and the other telecom service providers to look into the quality of the services, to look into the cost of data, and support us in reducing the cost of internet in this country, because it's an outcry in the country, especially in the wake of COVID-19, and a challenge to ensure connectivity and access to these services. Lastly, let me say MTN is now 23 years in Uganda. In public health, there are variables we look at to measure growth. I am sure when you read health and development reports, we use one indicator which is called infant mortality. By infant mortality, we look at infants who are born at day 0 and fail to celebrate their birthday. That's how we compute the infant mortality rate. So at 23, it means you have survived infant mortality rate, which is high in Africa and other poor countries. We also look at the under 5 mortality. If you look at the indicators we use to measure development. And there we are looking at children, or the young children who are born alive and fail to celebrate their 5th birthday. So by you reaching 23 years, it means you have survived under 5 mortality. There are many other indicators we use, like at 14 years, we use 14 years to distinguish a dependent and a non-dependent when you are calculating dependence or the dependence ratio between 14 and 65. So it means you have surpassed the age of being a dependent. Even in medicine, where I qualified, we use 12 years as a mark to distinguish children and adults. In medicine, children are up to 12 years because above 12 years, you get childhood diseases, you get adulthood diseases, not childhood. That's why at 13 years, when you go to the hospital, they admit you in an adult ward. At 18 years, when you look at our constitution, 18 years distinguishes a minor from an adult. So you have also surpassed the age of 18 years. It means you can even vote in Uganda. So I want to take the opportunity to congratulate Even teenagers are up to 19 years. So you have surpassed all those critical stages of early development. And at 23 years, all of us are happy that you came 1998 and you continue to grow strong and strong and strong. And therefore, this is a happy moment for all of us. I want to say congratulations, MTN, for survival of all those stages and reaching 23 years of age in Uganda. And we as government want to assure you of our support, of our continued partnership, and we wish you all the best. Finally, when I sat on that table, Mr. Charles Mbire was asking me, you as government, are you going to close us again because of Omicron and COVID-19? Maybe I use the opportunity to make a remark as I sit down, that COVID-19 remains a challenge to all of us. I put off my mask because you are more than 2 meters away from where I'm speaking from. Although the infection rates continue to get down, thanks to all of you who have responded to the measures, the public health measures government and health workers have been announcing, but the risk still remains. You have heard of the new variant, Omicron, that was identified and announced by South African scientists, but to the best of my knowledge, these were samples taken from visitors, not necessarily South Africans, on the 9th of November. And that variant has since spread to over 20 countries, including in Europe, Asia, America, and some countries have taken a decision to ban travelers from particular countries, especially those in Africa, even when the other countries in the Western world have registered positive cases of Omicron, and Africans have been up in arms. We strongly believe that much as we need to take preventive measures, but I think some of those decisions are not necessarily being facilitated by better appreciation of science. And therefore, for us, as of now, we have not taken a decision which is knee-jerk, like some countries have taken. While it is important for us to keep a close watch. So the scientists are still studying this variant to appreciate its characteristics, but there should be no cause for very big worry as of now. The decision we have taken so far as a government is to strengthen surveillance and remind you of the need to keep and follow and observe the SOPs, which we've been announcing, putting on masks correctly when you are in public, washing your hands with water and soap, and we emphasize with the soap because it is the soap which is extremely important in killing the virus, social and physical distancing when you are congregating like we are here, but again, avoiding huge congregations and many other measures as you know them. And vaccination, encouraging Ugandans to vaccinate against COVID-19. But the most important also, as you know, we have introduced mandatory testing for all incoming travelers into the country. So whoever is entering into Uganda, whether through the airport or the other border points, we subject you to a COVID test. And we've been getting some few people testing positive. If you test positive, then we subject the sample to further analysis, what in science we call genomic sequencing. That means we further examine the sample to see what kind of strain is causing that positivity. We've been having largely the Delta variant, which was responsible for the second wave. But up to now, we haven't detected any Omicron. But the message is that let's remain vigilant. Let's observe the SOPs and other preventive measures. We are doing our best to see that this variant does not come into the country. But if there are any new developments with regard to policy measures which we shall announce, we shall definitely be telling the country. But to Mr. Charles Mbire, for now, we are not crossing out anybody. We are not crossing our border points, but we are working together with experts to observe the properties and characteristics of this variant, and we continue as usual, but remaining extremely vigilant. So I thank you very much. Thank you for turning up to be part of this MTN family. You are assured of our support at the government of Uganda. May God bless all of you.
Another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our chief guest. Our chief guest, you will just stay with us for a few more minutes. We won't keep you long. We know you still have cabinet. And so we will just do a couple of things. But I am told there's been a lot of activity. I wanted the trade manager to come and tell us what's been happening on the board. I also tell us what's happening back end. Because for us, we see a figure 206. We are not so sure what's happening. Please come. I want you to share the limelight today. But don't send greetings home. Just tell us what's happening.
Okay, thank you, Maurice. As we speak, 64,300 shares have traded so far. The price is up 2.5% at 205. Over the last trading minutes, the value of MTN has increased by 189 billion, with its market capitalization rising to 4.589 trillion. We have outstanding demand of 10,000 shares and supply of 119 shares, 119,000 shares. So we expect these to match and to see more activity before market close. The market closes in the next 2 hours.
Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for the Uganda Securities Exchange. And I really want all of us to put our hands together for the team at the Uganda Securities Exchange. Another round of applause for a job well done. And allow me now to turn your eyes to the screen, something on the Securities Exchange. Let's take a look. Thank you very much, Uganda Securities Exchange, and we want to thank you for today's trading and taking us through today's activities. As you heard, the market will be closing in 2 hours, and we're still trading. The most exciting bit, of course, the opening bell. What we won't have here today is the closing bell, which is what he was speaking to, and when the market will actually close. Our chief guest, mine is to humbly request the chair and the CEO to take you over to a very commemorative art piece. For you to sign on our art piece. And I want in a very special way to recognize our artist this morning, Mr. Roland, who has put this together. This is really what we are here for. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. As our chief guest, the chair, the CEO, and of course, the Paul Bwisho from Securities Exchange, who all four will append their signature to this commemorative art piece that speaks to today's listing of MTN on the stock market, and also shares the highlights of where we have come, the IPO journey. As you can see, the MTN journey in Uganda from 1998, a conversation we have been having as we celebrate 23 years. The market price, as told to us by our trading manager, 205. And we will now have our chief guest, your signature, sir, and your initials. You could have initials or designation, which will be key for us as we put this in a very strategic place at MTN. Thereafter, we'll have the chair. We'll also have the MTN CEO and the CEO of the Uganda Securities Exchange, all append their signature. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, our chief guest who has initialized our art piece, all right, chair. And as I said, the art piece really represents where we are at in this journey. Close to 85% of Ugandans who acquired shares and applied for shares during the IPO, that is also represented there. The highest price this morning was at about 220. That also is represented there. And the various services MTN is offering in this market. But also a conversation around what will be happening in the next few days. The app of the shares, as more people continue trading in the shares this morning and the days to come. I'll now request the CEO, Paul first. I see the CEO wants to make sure all his stakeholders go fast. All right? And also let you know that the conversation is being shared on our social media platforms using the hashtag Mtn Ipo and the hashtag Good Together, which is also captured on this art piece. This was put together by Tibarusia Roland. Tibarusia, if you can raise your hand, just raise your hand so everyone sees that you've done a fantastic job. We want to thank you for putting this together in the last hour or two. Job well done. Talent Africa, back-end music, thank you. Paul Bwiso, the CEO, Uganda Securities Exchange, who is also now appending his signature to this very commemorative art piece. And finally, the MTN CEO, Mr. Wim, who will do the honors of putting the final signature to this art piece. As our transaction advisor was speaking, Anne, she did speak to the Muntu Awansi who did buy shares. And did I hear 20 billion from the Muntu Awansi? 54. Yes, 54 billion from the retail investors. And these are really the small people. I think I had you say the katoch, people with the katoch who were trading. 54 billion. And in fact, when the PSST was here, that is a statistic he took home. For him, it was a number that is very important in the statistics of our economy. And so he was here representing the finance minister who is in cabinet and told us he was a witness today to witness the listing and why this is very important. So we'll now have a photo. We'll have our chief guest, the chair, USE, and the MTN CEO. We'll try. Yes, there. There you go. Okay. This commemorative art piece will definitely find its way in a very strategic place at MTN Uganda and is very essential. The Honorable Minister was requesting that the masks, as long as you don't speak to each other while you are there, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause. All right, so as the chief guest makes his way back to the chair, I want to mention that it's very critical that we continue protecting our environment. From the beginning of the IPO conversation, MTN and the National Forest Authority have been planting trees across the country. And I want to mention that today, for each and every one of us who's here during this listing, we will be going home with a Muvule seedling. A round of applause, the Muvule seedling. And this is to be part of the government initiative to try and increase our forest cover. If you know the statistics, in the last 25 years, Uganda has lost close to 64% of its forest cover. Some say 63, but let's go with the higher side to make it more serious. 64% of our forest cover, and that has been in the last 25 years. Now, MTN, and does anyone know where we are at now? The forest cover to total land area? Anyone? Anyone? Actually, it's less, 9%. We are at 9% of total land area, and that is really sad. And so MTN with the National Forest Authority have been doing a great job in planting as many trees around the country during this IPO fairs. That conversation will continue, but we want you to be ambassadors as you leave today in planting a tree. So we'll give you a seedling thereafter. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been fantastic. Can we put our hands together for this great journey? And I want now to request that we all stand for the national anthems, and thereafter it will really be departure at leisure. But for members of the press, we will have a panel discussion really to take you through what's happening and what this means for the financial sector. And that is after the anthems. May we have the anthems, please?
Oh, Uganda, may God uphold thee. We lay our future in thy hand. United, free, for liberty, together we'll always stand. Oh, Uganda, the land of freedom, our love and labor we give, and with neighbors all at our country's call, in peace and friendship we live. Oh, Uganda, the land that feeds us by sun and fertile soils grow. For our own dear land, we'll always stand the proud of our Africa's crown.
Smart 24, driving business.